Okay, hello again and welcome to another playthrough of Kerbal Space Program. I'm about to launch a mission to gather some more science, so let's have a way with it. So, this is my newest mission, which I believe is Jewel 4, named for the god of not being stupid. Jewel 4 is going to go back into orbit, and once it gets into orbit we're going to do a flyby of the moon. Now we're not going to do a moon landing, poor Jewel 3. We're not going to do a moon landing because we don't have the battery power. I don't have solar cell technology yet, I just have batteries. So all I have is engineer, food. We have, it doesn't say until I launch, but I've got a full day of battery power anyway. Hang on, I'll just put this up. So we've got a full, just a minute, I have to sort something out on the other program there. Okay, so I've got a full day of battery on this. The last ship I sent out had 12 hours and that wasn't enough. So I have taken a bit more time and I've put on a full day's worth, and hopefully that should be enough to get us to the moon. Now I'm not going to send any of the best astronauts, get rid of Bill Kerman. Let's send, I'll create a Kerbal and it'll be called Kerbs. There you go, Jace. He'll be quite courageous. Kerbals are always a little stupid. Add. So, Kerbs Kerman, who we'll see in a moment, will be flying our mission. Where is he? There he is. Look at him, little swine. Okay, so we don't have any transmitters on this. We are running on as little power as possible. I've got lots and lots of boosters, and that should hopefully get us into orbit. Staging looks correct. Okay. Let's go to the moon. Turn on my SAS, that keeps my pod adjusted, and go! Oh! Oh. And I'm activating my regular boosters. Bit loud, sorry. I'm activating my regular boosters because I'm turning, and my regular engines have thrust vectoring on, which means I should stop falling out of alignment. As the minute, I am kind of falling out of alignment. And that is a problem. I'm going to throttle the... Okay, there we go. I'm throttling the main engines down quite considerably. Just enough to give me thrust vectoring. Because I am starting to get worried. I am spinning wildly. But it should be fine. I need to get to 10,000 meters and I can start my gravity turn. Right, there's my mini boosters off. Still spinning like a lunatic. But, oh, it's time to start the gravity turn. So I turn toward the 90 degrees. Oh, God, fine. Okay. Alright, I'm way higher than I ought to be for this. So I'm going to throttle way down. Okay, making a turn toward 90 degrees. I think my craft's too heavy. Yes, it is. My porpoise needs to go up. There we are. I'm really going to gun it. Alright, so my apoapsis is increasing nicely. I'm at... just adjust that. I'm at 27,000 meters and rising. Apoapsis is going to be at 36 at the minute. I need to get to minimum Kerbal orbit. Is that going to stage correctly? That's not going to stage correctly. Now it is. Okay, so minimum Kerbal safe orbit is 70,000 meters. At 70,000 meters, the atmosphere goes to nothing, so there's no friction to slow me down. Essentially, your orbit can be any height over any sort of planetary body, and that goes for real physics as well. The only thing that stops Earth orbital height from being like the height of the mountains that you would crash into is that the atmosphere slows down your speed with atmospheric drag, and that kills your speed dead. Right, I'm at 42,000 meters, which is good. You'll notice my apoapsis is rising a little bit faster than it was. My atmospheric drag, if I can get a look, my atmospheric drag is 700 newtons and falling. My forward thrust is about 20 kilonewtons. So right now, as it's falling, the amount of thrust forward is decreasing. So actually, can I get that? Thrust is 1200 kilonewtons. Now on the ground, your thrust, so the pressure against your thrust, I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it is in the kilonewtons. So essentially, if you're thrusting with 220 kilonewtons on the ground, you're not. You're thrusting with, say, 60. And that affects your thrust-to-weight ratio. That needs to be able to produce enough force to lift your weight off the ground. So I am coming... No, Krejas has turned into a lady. How odd. You're a liberal gentleman, I'm sure you don't mind. So my apoapsis is sitting at 63. I can start throttling down now, actually. My apoapsis is sitting at 60... I have a bunch of decouplers that I don't remember putting on my ship. Does that decouple the engine? No, that is the decoupler for my heat shield, because that'll blast it off to reduce my weight. Now I want a minimum orbit of 80,000 kilometers. I could try and do a moon transfer from this height, but it would be a pretty terrible idea. So I'm going to stay somewhere around this height. Okay, 71,000, that's fine. I want to keep the time to apoapsis between, as recommended to me, between 40 seconds and a meter. This is my line of my flight plan. My apoapsis I'm going to hit in 49 seconds. That's good. I want to be just about to hit that all the way through. Now I'm increasing my speed, so I'm going to drop my altitude a little, cut my thrust. Really, I don't need to be thrusting this hard, but this is the second attempt I've had at trying to get this. I'm in a hurry, so I'll bring that down. Just readjust my orbit. I could do an EVA report. Am I above anything new? No. I can get out of the capsule and do an EVA vehicular activity report on what Kerbin is like. But I don't think I'm going to fly over anything I haven't already done. There are certain terrain groups that I haven't seen. There's apparently a Badlands somewhere around here, which sounds fun, but I haven't been there. It's hard to see. Okay, so my apoapsis is staying quite low. I have 750 meters a second change of delta V. I've got 900 meters a second of my capsule. That's fine. I'm probably going to have to burn about 800 to get out of Kerbin's atmosphere, Kerbin's sphere of influence, and into the moons. So we'll see how that goes. So, gonna throttle down again. Still putting energy into this. Tell you what, let's have one big surge of power. Surge a bit more. There we go. That's switched to orbital cam, and actually a little bit more. Boom, in orbit. So that's my flight plan. That is a much wider thrust than like. I put a little too much thrust into that, but that's fine. All that means is I'm going to have much less maneuvering to do. I'll tell you what I'm doing here actually before I do it. So I'm going to have to set up a maneuver node. I don't have to, I can do it using this, but this is a mod I put on that gives me direct feedback about the switch that off, about the craft I'm using. So I've got 3 minutes until my apoapsis. My apoapsis is my furthest point from the planet, and my periapsis is the closest point to the Earth. It's known as apogee and perigee in terms of Earth. So my apoapsis is 80. I want to keep that, but I want to circularize my orbit. Now I want to raise this up, the periapsis, and the easiest way to do that is to dump energy while I'm at my apoapsis, because that is when the least amount of energy is necessary for alterations. Generally, if you're orbiting around a body, if you do something on one side, it's most effective on the other. So that is, you generally do it in circuits. That's Orbital Mechanics 101. So I'm going to raise my... You see that flipped? Don't want it to quite flip that much. Unless I do. I want to try and keep them as circular as possible. I think this is the most circular orbit I've ever managed. Yep. Okay, that's going to be more than enough. How much delta V am I going to need? 225. Now, for context, it took over 3,000 delta V to get into orbit. And it was burning for minutes. To get into a stable orbit from here, I have to burn for 1 second and use 25, so it's about 100 times more efficient. This is for two reasons. Firstly, because I don't have an atmosphere to slow me down, all my delta V changes are much, much more effective. There's also a slight decrease in gravity. Now, admittedly, that's not necessarily what's keeping me in orbit. What's keeping me in orbit is I currently have a speed of 2,000 meters a second, which is my orbital velocity is 2,255. That's above the escape velocity for the planet, which means that I don't fall. I'm constantly falling towards the planet and just missing it. I'm skipping over the horizon, which is how space works. Okay, I need to put the stabilizers back on. The stabilizers in this case are what they would use in physics, which is essentially a gyroscope. It's lots of fast spinning wheels that move incredibly quickly, and all that weight and momentum change means I'm constantly moving in all directions at once, which essentially means I am not moving at all. So I could set up an alarm, but I don't think I need to. Put that back there. Okay, 20 seconds until my burn. I'm going to do it actually, timing is slightly off on that node. I'm actually going to look at that. It'll give me an idea of how much change in speed I'll need to do. But I'm actually going to, rather than eyeball it, I'm going to use my orbital display to direct me. So, 1 and burn. Perfect. Oh, I've overshot. Well, do what we can. Okay, that's it. That is my orbital trajectory. So I'm now going to be circling the Earth, Kerbin, basically forever, but that's not where I'm going. Poor Joule 3. It's out of fuel. Pilot died when the life support failed. It's going to be orbiting forever. Maybe when I have better engines and better equipment, I'll go out and I'll salvage it. That would be something to record. So I'm going to make a move. Now, ideally, your transit is 21 degrees, I believe. So I need to start about here. I'll set as a target. I can actually I'll eyeball this one. I'll eyeball this one. So I'm more or less, yeah, I'm on the same orbital plane as it. So I don't need to do many adjustments. And any I do need to do, I'll do out in space. There we go. I want to get as close to the moon as possible without smashing into it. But I don't want to take too long in getting back. So, that is not what I want. And that is also too much delta V. So that would ideally be 883. I don't need that. So let's go to the apoapsis again. I'll just drag out. This is showing what happens when I put forward thrust and negative thrust, so prograde and retrograde. These are zenith and nadir, and left and right, really. Generally, these aren't too efficient, and these are terribly efficient. If you're in a circular orbit, you generally don't want to burn any direction but forward and backward. You can alter everything from forward and backward apart from your pitch in relation to the planet. So for example, if I burn directly away from the planet, that's what it'll do to my orbit. and that costs 1700 delta V. But so that gets me out to a distance of 2 million miles. Or I could do it from the other side of the planet and use the gravity to slingshot me out. So that's about 2 million miles there, and the delta V on this change is 600, so I've shaved 400 off. Much more efficient. Okay. How's my battery life doing? It should be fine. I'm covered in batteries. I have a day. I can't be out here any longer than a day. So I have 24 hours to get out here and then back to the planet. There, that looks about right. Yeah, that'll do. So if I come out, I get an encounter at the moon. Slow it down, it's going to get any closer. It's going to snatch me, and I want to get nice and close. So that's 3. I'll mark that so I can still see it. It's still a little experimental, this, and very temperamental. Bloody thing. There, okay. Thanks for being uncooperative. So if I increase my speed, I get closer. But it makes my return trajectory awful. So I will get to here. 200,000. That should be fine. I'll get to there. I want that closer. 13 hours. 37 minutes. 12 hours. Okay, that looks like... Yeah, the closer to the moon, the harder it is for me to get out. And I definitely do not want this to take too long. So that's going to be my course trajectory, I think. How much delta V? 858. Leaves me with 600 for course corrections, which should be fine. Okay, let's quick save. Just in case I screw this up, we'll add a new alarm. So 30 seconds away from this, we will slow back down. I can't warp too fast because I'm right next to a planet, and it still wants to consider that I have physics going on. So it won't let me do too much. I don't need that. Basically don't need that anymore. Okay, delete on close, close on pause. Let's have a look, see what I'm doing. So here's me. Let's have a look in the cockpit. No, actually I don't want to mess about. I'm not going to do the mess around. 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, I'm going to start my burn. That'll make manoeuvring easier. And go. Huge amounts of thrust in the right direction here. Let's see what that's doing. Yes, throwing my apoaps out. I don't like to eyeball this one. I tend to do all of this off one day. Okay. Let's do the maneuvering from here because it's such a big distance. I'm going to run out of fuel. Okay, I'm actually going to have to double check my staging here. Yep, okay, here we go. I put retro rockets on that piece of debris, so ideally that will deorbit it, and it means I won't have a big chunk of rocket orbiting forever, but it probably just threw it into a terrible orbit. We'll find out later on. Okay, and 700, getting close, and boom. Little too early. Let's wait until I'm outside of the planet's influence, and I'll thin that out a bit. But that's that now done. Okay, so moving along here, we're going to have our moon encounter in 10 hours. That'll be good. So let's see, if I start doing a return burn here, I'm not going to have the delta V for this. It's going to be something like 600, 400, and that gets me home in 21 hours. Oh, actually that will do. That will do. Let's save that. Alright. Add a new alarm so when I get close to the periapsis. Of course it's not because I'm on a different flight plan. Alright, let's just enter raw time. 10 hours 23 minutes. 10 hours 23 minutes. So very shortly I'll be in range of the moon, and then I'll add a note about this maneuver node. Now generally if I do anything I get out of the spaceship it'll wipe all my notes, but I have this mod on and that's very handy. So I'm going to add the alarm so that if I do knock this off I'll still be able to restore it. So let's see if I can do any science. Crew report. In space near Kerbs, nothing. If I do an EVA, does it give me anything? Don't need you anymore. I don't need this anymore actually. EVA. I don't have any lights. I don't have light technology. I certainly haven't worked out how to glue lights to my cockpit, so Kerbals aren't very clever sometimes. Okay, here we go. Just mass acceleration. And when I start to get out to about here, I'll see if I can do any science. Alright, and I should be in the middle of nowhere. I am. So there's my home planet. There's the moon. Isn't space big? Isn't space absolutely gigantic? Let's shut this battery down so that I will have some... It'll help me control, because when I come into land I'm going to be losing all of this. So just in case I screw something up I'm going to make sure I have extra battery power. So crew report. Yay! Crew reporting in from space. Right, so here's my instrument panels again. Let's have a little look-see. Graph is... Oh, the graph's not working. Okay, there we go. So there's my... what this is saying. So let's just rotate myself to be in line. Let's point forwards. In fact, let's do that. Makes my controls a little easier to fiddle with. You can see the light coming in from the window I have in my cockpit. There we go. So my command capsule is now lined up prograde. That's generally where I do all of my burns. So have a look through my cycles from my cameras. Down, down, up. Oh, can I go back? No. This is the camera I've pointed on the nose of the ship. It's doing its job okay. Radar altimeter. And that shows my altitude still. Oh, 1 million miles? Don't remember. Okay, thrust to weight ratio is good. Yeah, everything is fine. I press that and that stages me. Don't need to. If I press that I will die, so don't press that. Okay, so I can't switch between screens there. Let's have a look. Resource calculators. 97% battery power, 60% fuel. Resolution is my camera resolution. I can up that and down that if I need to. That's good. Alright, let's check my crew log. It'll just be Commander Krejas Kerman, and she is very happy. No. Oh, actually, I can switch between the two, but that is really fiddly to use, so don't use that. Still, that should be targeting the moon, so that's fine. I don't have any autopilot software on board. Aha. Landing legs deployed? Oh, undeploy landing legs. I think it's this one. I'm going to save. Okay, is it this one? Ah, it's that one. Okay, that's the landing legs undeployed. Good, I don't need those deployed. Let me just check from the external cameras. Yeah, they're tucked away. Have they always been tucked away? Put them back. Okay. That'll be SAS. That's RCS, which I don't have on board. That would switch my lights on. That doesn't work because I don't have it. This is really boring, I'm sorry. Okay, let's just time warp. Actually, first, EVA. Let's get a nice little EVA report going on. High in space, 8 science. Lovely, keep that. Get back on board the ship. Actually, no, don't get back on board the ship. Let's activate our little jetpack and head over to the science bay. Now, in order to allow for... Have I got lights on this bloody Kerbal? I don't know if I can turn the lights on the Kerbal. Let's open the service hatch. Right, the problem with the jet EVAs is more so even than the ships. Any directional use, you travel at that speed in that direction forever. So if I vent away from the ship fast enough, I will actually never be able to get back, because I appear to not be moving, but I am actually moving at thousands of miles an hour, so that's a problem. Okay, that's that service hatch open. That just contains my batteries, so I can actually operate all these science equipment. Now that I've got the science hatch exposed, I can operate the... Oh, I missed. Getting close. Oh god, space is terrible for perspective. I'm going to crash into the damn thing again, aren't I? Ooh. I am not very good at manoeuvring. Go for it, you little Kerbal bugger. Go, Kreejas. And get on board. There we go. Right, so let's do one of our scientific experiments. So I have 2 tanks of mysterious goo. And the mysterious goo can be exposed to environments for science. So can I use the mysterious goo here? No. Normally I'd leave a little bit poking out, but apparently I haven't in this case. Now this is a problem because I can't actually see the second can. I have 2 cans loaded, and they're one use wonders. No, I can't see it. Bugger, I might just have to pass that one up. I might have to say, just the one experiment. Okay, let's go. Whoosh! 3, 2, 1. And here we are. We're right next to the moon. Okay, so let's run some science. Observe the materials bay. 75 science. Take it. Expose the mystery goo to the moon. The goo likes it on the moon. Can I get the other canister? 1 canister, unfortunately, will be enough. Crew report. 15. I should land at a crater. And let's do an EVA. Sometimes I can actually have recorded my observations. So this is some observations to enable me to do some proper science in future. Alright, that is everything I needed from you, Moon. And I have a lot of power left, thank goodness. So, let's zip on. I'm now out of the moon's sphere of influence. So I've dropped back into a massive elliptical orbit around Kerbin. So now that I've done that, I'm going to have to pull my orbit back in and try and return home. Essentially, in this game, if you aren't in the orbit of influence, the game swaps you between orbit of influence. It doesn't like to do two-body problems, because two-body problems are an absolute nightmare mathematically, because there's so many variables. But, so if I get within a sphere of influence of the moon, that's the only sphere of influence that actually affects me. And home I go. So I need the periaps to get less than 40,000. Okay, that's now at 8 million. What I need it to be is about 40,000, because if it gets to 40,000, that means I hit the atmosphere and the air will break me, so that I don't have to worry too much about I don't have to worry about enough fuel to actually land. I can use my parachutes and my other sundries, but okay, that will do. That might be a little steep, but it'll do. And you'll notice I am all the way down here, and that is because the moon has just flung me off in a random direction. Okay, so I am going to set it so that when I'm about 3 minutes out from the periaps, it will, I'll say 2 minutes and 30 seconds, so add a lot. So now when I get to shortly before that periapsis, I'll hit the atmosphere and it'll stop me. Let me just make sure that everything's hunky-dory aboard ship. I will need to close this service hatch. Whoosh! Nice bit of sunlight so I can actually see what I'm doing here. Oh, it's reorienting me oddly around my craft. Close the service hatch. Thank you. Alright. I didn't need the landing legs at all, but I will need them on the return, because a lot of the scientific equipment on board is very fragile. And the last thing I need is to destroy my beloved science just as I get it home. Alright, oh, too much speed, too much speed, too much speed, too much speed. Down I go, down I go. Generally, the little tiny humans can move much faster than the craft, little tiny Kerbals rather. So little tiny space speed adjustments and I could outpace this craft quite neatly, because the amount of weight to move is absolutely tiny compared to, keep that data, I'll probably have to bin it. Yeah, I need to bin it. I've already got that. Alright, let's go. The amount of mass that of a Kerbal is this pod's about 15 tons or something. So, I mean, the Moonlander was 15 tons. Now I'm beginning my descent. So, let's ramp this speed up, because we want to wait 7 hours. And here we go. I am 10. I'm 100,000 meters above the planet. Now I should be fine, but what I'm going to do is slow myself down, because I am coming in at an incredibly high speed. Let's have a look. Surface speed is 3,000 meters a second. So let's dump some delta V into slowing me right down before I hit the atmosphere. This will do not too much to my periapsis. It's slowing my periapsis. It's more decreasing my apoapsis. Actually, this isn't a great use of my fuel, but I am concerned that if I hit too fast, I'm going to cause problems later on. So I'm now at 28,000. And I think I'll take that. Alright, so here I am coming over Kerbal. My time to periaps is 2 minutes, so let's sort out my staging. So the first thing I'm going to do is drop my engine and the battery cells as soon as I haven't put my landing legs on there, have I? No. As soon as I start to come in, this will all start to burn up. So I need to be ready to drop all of this if this tank... I've gotten rid of all the liquid fuel. So, well, not all of it. Let's just put a little last. Okay, now I'm out of liquid fuel, which means I can happily toss away this fuel can, which I'm actually going to do. Now, the engines, very good at surviving re-entry. 900, 1,000. Those are my landing legs. Okay, let's just detach. Those were all my cameras exploding. Yeah, I'm coming in way too fast here. That's it. Okay, I've gotten through the... Oh. Gone through most of the worst of it. I don't know what's exploding now. I think it's still my cameras. Basically, if this explodes, I die. And it hasn't. Okay, so I'm now traveling. That's just robbed me of 1,000. 1,000. Yeah, I've come down way down in Delta V. So let's dump that. There's my heat shield. Didn't really need it. Oh, did not want that to happen. So I'm going to arm these two parachutes. Now I've armed the top one. I'm not going to... I've only got one landing leg. Oh well. You do what you can. I can't alter deployment on this chute. So I'm going to hit in 27 seconds. I'm 8,000 meters still and falling. Am I over land? Probably not. I just need to hit the water nice and slow. There's the dual debris. When that gets to about 6,000 meters, it's going to explode. So in a second, this is going to... Yeah, it looks like water and a squint. So in a second, this is going to turn off SAS. I'm going to turn it back on now. I'll weigh myself down. I really need to keep all this science. Really need to keep all this science. So falling. How are you doing for falling? Yeah, this is my fuel tank, and it's heading toward the water at some speed. So when my main chute deploys, I'm going to arm this parachute too. There we go. So this should together drag my speed down to practically nothing. 6 meters a second. That'll do. So I'm going to hit the water. I'm going to deploy this one landing leg. So I'll hit the water at 6 meters a second. And that should be enough. The tolerance on this unit is about 5. This unit doesn't really have a tolerance, but it does have this heat shield. Now I can decouple that, but there's no point at this stage. You can use that to cover things like fold-out landing legs or the like. You can put a massive heat shield on to cover a whole vehicle if it's going to be bigger. Then this is 1.25 meter diameter. You can get 2.5 meter diameter. 2.5 meter diameter pod heat shield. You can pop that off and then deploy landing legs after that if they have to fold down. Very slowly. And my ship survived. Let's recover this vessel. And I should have a hefty bundle of signs coming in. Would you look at that? Alright, crew report over the moon, EVA over the moon, moon, materials, recovery of a moon vehicle, all that lovely science. 228 science, which is enough for me to acquire solar panels. Oh, just shy of the good solar panels, so I need another 30 science. But it means I can afford something fun, like, do I want reaction control systems? I could get some advanced construction, which would allow me to start building bases. I could, is there a cheap coupler somewhere around here? Material science, did this come with a cheap docking port? Big, I just guess we build big rockets. Sometimes big rockets can be handy. Nope. Advanced rocketry gives me better engines. Now that I've got this solar panel, that's basically everything I need. I could launch another mission just like this one and acquire yet more science. And that, basically, is Kerbal Space Program. Now that I've got lights, I can build more advanced craft. I could grab this. Lots of scientific inquiry. Let's grab that. Okay, so I've now got some science tech, which is let me have... Oh, sorry, so I've got space exploration. So that lets me record temperature. It lets me launch a processing lab to clean stuff up and restore landing equipment. I can basically build space stations now. So that, let's buy those two. That is Kerbal Space Program. I'm going to launch another mission that I won't record because you might basically be a repeat of that but with better stuff. Thank you for watching, and be lovely to each other, and good night everybody.